All right, so I should be streaming now. I'm just making sure that that is set up. So far, we've got that part up. And the last part I'm looking for is tasks. Um, all right, so where I left off with this is I have a designer tool inside of this that lets me figure out where traffic can drive. Now, particularly, these are creating 3D points in space. Now, I have multiple things that need to know about particular points in space, especially pathways. So, for instance, the start and the end of a race, or having a separate track for um, trucks to drive on versus cars. So the cars can get into smaller areas, the cars can use the same areas as the trucks, but the trucks also have their own isolated paths to not get stuck. So the objective that I have right now is that the traffic designer stores all this data. It's a singleton, and it stores all the data um, to its, well, it's not a singleton, but it stores all the data to itself, and it doesn't store this elsewhere. I can't switch off to another object. Actually, I suppose I could. I could. I just need a different traffic designer. But I have a hotkey in here that chooses the traffic designer I want. What I'm going to do instead is right now I have mappings and nodes. These are the points along the pathway. So each one of these points that are in here, let's see. And then what was it? V. So like V, I can choose a different point in here. And what is this? This one is point index 11, and this one is point index 5. You can see the 5 down here for the node index. So if I click on that, this is the 3D position and the 3D normal for that particular point. Mappings take two different points by index and say that this point is connected to that point. So we end up with the lines going across. Right now, this information is all stored inside of the traffic designer, and that's what I want to change at this point. All right, so let's pick, how should I do this one? Traffic designer, I want all the data. Do I need the debug information? Yeah, I suppose debug information should be there too. So nodes, mappings, debug, even the baked reference. I should have the baked reference stored there too. Okay, I've got some code to redesign in this because I want to get to racing. So I need to be able to create a start and an end point. And I figured that could be its own separate tool. It'd be easy enough to generate, but why not reuse the one that we got? I need to do it anyway for other stuff. Where's my code? Is it starting? Oh, Rider's not up and running yet. On the channel, I'm planning to do some more videos related to performance code in the near future. I'm also considering what to start doing after this. But my objective at this point is still over the next week and a half, next week, to finish this game, to make a playable version that goes out on Steam. I'm planning on it being cheap, like maybe $3, $5, something like that, and get it out there. Let people try it. If people like it, if I get comments, then that starts to give me an idea of what to focus on. So let's see, inside of here, what I was going to, traffic designer. Traffic designer's on this side. Let's move it over here so you can see it past my head. All right, now we're going to need data that's stored inside of here. We have baked traffic, which is what it was referencing. Let's just bring that up this way. 12 there. Baked traffic. I'm just going to put that over here behind my head. But that has fields that are in it. I don't need this one up again. Okay, so inside of here we have the node that I can reduce, and then we have a list of nodes and a radius. That's all it stores right now. Should I duplicate the baked traffic? No. I don't want it to make changes. All right, so now let's just recreate a new class. Right click, add C#. I usually don't add classes this way. All right, the class that I want to add is going to be called, we have baked traffic and we have designer traffic. I'm also going to call it data. This is, it represents the data being stored in it. I'm just going to be more explicit about it right now. What is all this? Don't bother me with yet. Oh, I should have told it to check the option to don't display this to me. Like I said, I don't usually come in through this. I'm usually coming in through Unity, but Unity is really slow to add a class. Like it makes no sense. All right, so inside of here, public class, what do I want to add? It's not a class. Let's move traffic designer over to this side. I just want the data on here for now. And I'm going to grab a few pieces of this information for now. I'll grab this stuff. Come right up here and paste there. The name is not going to be baked traffic. This one is designer traffic data. Designer traffic data. That's getting long enough. Designer traffic data. There. All right, so get everything in here. Do I need the serialization callback? I don't think I'm using anything with that one for this. No, it's just stored data. We'll get to it. Oh, am I doing anything with that in this? I am not. I can get rid of that from here as well. Cool. Designer traffic. So next in the, where is it? I'm going to put traffic designer over here so that I can take a, not what I meant. All right, so over here, I wanted to see what fields this had. So I have the fields that I can duplicate over here. So inside of this one, I don't want functions. Oh, I do want structures. Yeah, let's take that. Anything there? In mouse, these are the designer items, so I do need those ones. Copy, cut. Yeah, let's cut this. Okay, that gets pasted there. Aggressive inlining. You know, there, thank you. Now, this one no longer knows about those particular fields. We've got debug fields. Now, what do I care about? Debug fields do need to be in there. Distance from surface is a configuration. So I'm going to make a couple changes to this one. System.serializable public struct setting fields. And that is distance from surface. It needs to be in there. Okay, now debug should typically be the last one that shows up in here. We're going to put not read only. This one needs to be configurable. So this one is not serializable. It is just, it's already public, so it'll show everything it needs. Public setting fields. Settings. Okay, so we've got the settings that stores that in there. Something in here is going to be complaining about it. Yeah, there it goes. Inside of this one, it is now designer traffic data, which tells it what type of node it is. Let's fix the other ones. Oh, that's incorrect. It doesn't know the data. I need to put the data in now. So this one will be its data stored from over here, designer traffic data. Inside of this one, we need to store the reference to this information. I guess this one will become the top public field that's in here. Public struct, not public struct, public designer traffic data. Traffic data. Excellent. So now when it's trying to access nodes, it's now traffic data. Got it. Okay, mappings goes into traffic data dot new index map. It belongs to, why would I need to import a reference? Index map is just underneath designer traffic data. Let's reorganize this data. So this is a mentality I like to keep in architecture. Focus on what you need to begin with. Then once you actually need it, or once you need to expand on it, that's the time you expand on it, because that's the time you have a better mentality of what's going on with the expansion. You can take guesses early, but half the time you're going to be wrong with that. All right, so now traffic data dot, yeah, traffic data dot. This is way too long at that point. All right, traffic data. Okay, this is debug. Hey, why don't I rename this debugging instead of debugger? So up at the top, that was a complaint that I had. I've just been fixing the code, so I'm just gonna move this over here anyway. All right, back up to the top. Now, this class is also starting to get particularly large, but it is an isolated editor class. And so some of the reason I bring that up is because as the file gets larger, it's very reasonable to question, should this be split out into multiple classes? And sometimes the answer is yes. And as is happening now, I am already splitting some of the data out. Now, this is debug fields. I'm going to call this debugger fields or debugging fields. And now over here, debugging. That will change the type of data that we see. All right, back up. That's no longer part of that settings. Oh, it needs a designer. Got it. What's notes complaining about here? No, that's incorrect. Okay, so I think I have all the data correctly moved over. All right, traffic designer. Now, are there any errors that things are complaining about? Let's move over here. I see no red dots. One of the tricks that you can look at, like, oh, perfect. It says it right up at the top. So the warnings, it shows in red. Or sorry, warnings are yellow, errors it shows in red. And then I would look for any red marks across the scroll bar on the side. All right, now back into Unity. I'm going to lose all my data from doing this, but I'm going to rebuild it as well. Look at all that data it's missing. Okay. So now it's got debugging and settings. Those are the two setups it has. I suppose traffic data should go into settings. I'm going to do it there. Where is settings? Settings, settings, settings. Where's my traffic data? Hey, these ones, these should be in debug. Control X. Let's get rid of them. I'm going to correct that now. So debugging fields. So basically anything in debug are fields that I would mark as private, that I would hide away. So the entire class here is things that nothing else is supposed to be working with. It's only there for debugging. Now, at the end of this, I can take these particular object, I can take this debugging class and just make this private. But why? All right, so next that we have this one, we have the settings, in move mode and scene view mouse position. Now let's fix those. Any indexes of them? Are those ones just completely unused? Go back into here. Okay, clear. Yeah, that was from the debug code. All right, it compiles though. So that means that these, does it still believe? Yeah, these two are just not used anymore. All right, gone. Perfect. Okay, so we got the settings fields, we got that stuff is in there. Traffic data. This is what I wanted to move over into settings. Distance from surface matters in the final design. So with that in mind, I am going to move this over into traffic data. So Control X, let's go over to traffic data. Okay, traffic data, and now this is going to be stored on settings. This would be a nice thing to have on the rename capabilities, that if I moved a field into another class, that and that class is a child element of this, I would love it if Visual Studio or Rider could somehow recognize that so that I could get the auto rename and update. If some feature like that is already in there, that'd be awesome. Of course, it's kind of hard for me to imagine how that would be done, aside from having to put some complicated UI in the way, saying, giving the option to remap a field to a different class. All right, that should be everything saved and returned. I am going to have to construct the new data that's going in here, so the designer. And I'll give these different names. So let's go find it. Where's my data? That's baked traffic. I'm going to call it baked car traffic. Now, inside of this, I also need create Vigilante designer traffic data. Designer car traffic. I guess I don't need data on the end of it because I'll just call it designer car traffic and baked car traffic. Maybe the other way would work better. In other words, putting baked on the end and putting designer on the end as well. In those cases, having the data feels, it's while it's implicit in for English, it still feels like it should be there, but I'm not going to put it. All right, so designer. Now, designer needs some information, like, for instance, what's the baked data? It needs the distance from the surface, which let's just put 4 for now. Now it has 0 nodes in mapping. So we're going to go over to Traffic Designer, which has nothing in here right now. And we're going to select the item for it, car traffic. Good. Now this one shouldn't be complaining anymore. All right. So Control Shift B, that automatically selects the object. Next, I need to start adding these. So what were the keys? Z adds it. So let's add one here and add one here. And then let's connect it. And Z for here, there. V to select. And then where's the boundary on this? Oh, let's go to this. Let's just add some points. I'll connect them after. All right. So this, 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 this. Let's put a few more spaces. I'm just going to grow the data a little bit more. Since the data tool is stable, this is a good time to come in and add more. All right, this one is supposed to be for, oh, let's put another one there and here. This is probably too tight of a space for the cars, but we will see. All right, so now let's go add another one here, here, and here. I should have lines that are showing which ones those are related to. There was another tool that I was also planning on adding later as well. So V, no, not V, there. Okay, those points are wired up and connected over there. I've got a couple of points on this. Let's add this. So V. Okay, that puts a bunch of data now. A couple more spaces. Let's put it in here and here, here, here. I'm creating a couple lanes. That doesn't connect to anything, so that's kind of a dead end for the design. That also is a very complicated area to drive. Is this an object I can remove? It's part of a larger building set model. That doesn't work as well. All right, I will leave that be. I don't need this camera view to stay as big right now. Let's minimize that down. Control Shift B will select the data again. Now let's connect this stuff up. V, connect that, and C. Okay, V, C, 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 V, C. Okay, yeah, that connects those 2 points. I don't know which one is which. All right, let's just take this one and X marks the spot. We'll mark it to here. And then VX this one a little bit more down to here. V and X, this one should be over here. Yeah, those have to have a little bit of distance for the designer tool to make sense, which indicates I should have an icon that shows which it is. Also, as I'm moving over, what is the hotkey for this one? I have X to move or C to connect. And when I'm holding C down, it shouldn't actually make the connection. It should highlight which one I'm going to make the connection with. And then when I let it go, it should make the connection. All right, that should increase the obviousness of this. So let's go to C for here and C for here. Wrong one. I don't have a Control Z on this, do I? I don't. All right, so what was the connection to remove it? That one is N. Perfect. I need to get undo features installed on here. So every time I make a change, I need to add it to the undo stack. Okay, now to connect there, and then V connect. Let's go with VX. Around there. Okay, so I've got some of these in place. What else? Oh, the inner tracks. Let's go to V. And then over here, this is the hard part in the design so far. C to connect this one. There, it got it. Cool. All right. V, C, V, C, V, C, V, C. All right, got more connection now. V, C. Oh, no. N. There we go, much better. All right, V, C, C, C. Okay. And now over here, V, C, C, V, C, C, that's connecting them. Oh, what just happened? Not what I intended. Did I just accidentally connect that up to 2 different ones? Yeah, I did. All right. Let's go to here and get rid of these N and N. V. And let's go to, what is this one? C. Connect it over here. C. That was weird. Why did the connection point show up to there? It must have attached it to that building over there. I had the mouse too far over. Yeah, I need to get that designer tool fixed. Okay. That's becoming more of a priority now. So let's fix this one first. I'll just fix the data so I leave it in a cleaner state unless I start destroying it more, and then fixing the tool becomes priority. All right, remove that connection. Okay, now I've got this. We've got all these different nodes here, which cars can show up to. Oh, that's a problem. In the current design tools, if I create a node that nothing connects to, I can spawn a traffic car there, but the traffic car would then have no connections to be able to start heading towards. And so cars would just sit idle. That's not a bad spot way to do it. That could be parking. In the original descriptions of the game, there would be cars that are just parked out here. All right, now I need to fix the tool. The tool letter that I'm working on is C. C, and then also I should do that for B and N. Okay, C, B, and N. So when I try to connect a node, that puts a piece of data in there. I want to know what I'm connecting it to. And then the next thing is B for removing the selected node. That's going to remove the node and everything it's connected to. That would be a pain to have to resolve or repair. And so it should show me which one it's about to affect. And same thing for removing a connection. I should see which connection is about to remove. And for that, I should highlight the line as a difference. Now, on top of that, I also want undo feature. So anytime I make a change here, that has to go into the undo state. Now the tool goes into Traffic Designer, and that is all happening down here on Scene GUI and on Scene GUI. This is the entire design tool right now for the commands. Okay, so in this case, I'm deciding what the previous, let's see, so byte Z C, what's C in this one? I need to start putting in a better explanation of this one. This one is current character. Why did that just change? No. Hi. I swear to you, that's not what I want you to do. Do a control dot. Remove unused local variable. No, I want you to rename the other variables to match it. Okay, let's try this again. Clear out another line. So let's say current. And if I hit control dot does this. It's supposed to be the function that's showing up. It doesn't come up with the option over here at this point. So these are some of the reasons why I liked Visual Studio before better. Visual Studio generally seems to handle some of these cases, but not all of them better. It's a little more polished. Okay, by going to another line and making an edit that clears its intelligence of what I'm typing. So current character. Okay, now I can't hit control dots to bring up the intelligent items for what to do here. I have to actually move the mouse over and click it. Does it have a hotkey? Alt Enter. It's Alt Enter. Okay, I tried that. That was what it said. Context actions. Alt Enter. Okay. I'm still over here. I'm still over in this area. It says Alt Enter does this. Alt Enter does nothing. Apply renaming. Okay. Next, if current character equals last character. Good. We're checking the current character to see. Now, in this case, this is the character that was. I need to add more intelligence here. So right now we're just detecting, is the character there? And I'm responding to that first interaction with it. So current character, this is first interaction. I need to start declaring first interaction, second ending interaction. Character down, character up. All right, we're going to go byte char down, comma, char up. Okay, so now char up is going to happen when the character goes to null. If the character goes to null, we're going to use last character to detect what it was. So first off, we're going to say if current character and current character equals null. Oh, if current character equals 0 and last char does not equal 0, between each character press, it switches to character 0, or at least that's how I'm operating with the design tools. If you move your fingers from one key to another, that's without actually releasing the other key, I'm not designing against that right now. I'm not sure what the desired behavior might be in that case. Could literally be that the previous one that you didn't even intend for that. So, okay, so in this case, char down equals 0 and char up equals last char. Perfect. Next. Nope. All right, so now we're going to say else if current character does not equal 0. I need the brackets, parentheses. Current character does not equal 0 and last char equals 0. So in this case, we have just pressed the character down. So char down equals current character. And last character, char up. Equals 0. I'll initialize these ones to 0 for now. Okay. And other than that, there's no other case that this should be. I guess, you know what? I will handle that odd case in between where we don't get a null character in between these. I'm going to do that as else if last char does not equal current character. So in this case, neither of them are 0 because these cases, we're detecting that one of them can't be 0 and the other one has to be 0. And now we've gone through both of those and neither of them have been hit. So in this case, neither of them are 0 unless they both were. But if they both were, it wouldn't show up here because it's not the same. It'll only trigger if they're not the same. Now, if they're not the same, then we're going to say char down equals current character, and char up equals last character. We're executing both of these simultaneously. Oh, in this case, if I want something to be highlighted because I'm holding the character down, I do need to know that the character is still down. So character down does need to have another special case. Character held down. Still down. I'm going to change it to that. We'll call it still down. Character still down equals 0. So in this case, that means that the last character and the current character are the exact same one. And if that's the case, then character still down is the one that gets marked for it. But otherwise, character down happens only when character just pressed down. So the last one is else if. I guess I could just put else, but I want to be clear in case I'm mentally missing something of exactly what my intent is here. Last character equals current character. So in this case, then char still down equals current character. Doesn't matter if it's the last character, current character, whatever. Okay, so now when I'm going through these events, I need to determine what I'm reacting to. So if current character doesn't equal last character, oh, let's put in one other thing. Do we care where the mouse is? I like this one just as bool. Do we care where the mouse is? And I think that's reasonable to want to know where that is every single frame. And if that's the case, then this one, we will just get rid of the if statement on this. These ones, current character, it's not current character that I want to check anymore. So last character equals current character. This is the point where we are moving all the data back. Control K, Shift Tab, there. Okay, so now that we've done our detections for current character to last character, and our use case is now applied over to char down, char up, and char still down. Now, in this case, we are just checking to see what the current position is. So we are grabbing those positions when we find it. And then down here, we're checking to see if the current code. All right, so if Z This was all L case. I feel like I should just put a little character hotkey in here for this one. All right. Yeah, let's put a little designer function inside of this. Public const byte L case. L caser equals 0x20. Let's put this there. Okay, so now instead of using this, I'm putting in these ones. Z. Okay, so this is not current character I want to know that for adding, it is character down. So char down. Now, X is to move a character. That should be instant. That should be char down. We're going to put in another one on this one. And that's char still down. I guess in this case I could put an or, but that feels a little, you know what? I'll just put an or. I'll just do it this way. Or. All right, next is connect. I need two different states for connect now, but I'll get to the first one. So the first one is char down. That's to actually make the node connect. The other one, I'm just going to put in a line here. If, this is char up that we actually make this one on. So char up is where we're going to make the node connect. All right, next, we need to check to see if it is down or still down. Still down? If something doesn't care if it's down or still down, then both characters can always be set. So in that case, on char down, I'm going to say char still down equals the same thing. Ooh, this is an interesting thought on DoD principles. So in this case, I'm taking current character and I'm writing it over to char down. Now I've written the memory to that. So, okay, I do have the memory address. I know what's there. I do have it in the register at that point. And so by trying to set this variable from something else in the register, either one of these two variables should flat out exist from the previous instruction. Okay. Not as interesting. Okay, so that means that in this case, character still down will also react for character down. So I'm going to get rid of the extra stuff here. Single line. Now I need if the same thing, but I need a new command, just highlight. And it's going to be different. I need highlight and I also need the connection highlight. So this one's going to be special. So this is connection highlight, control CVB. Okay, so this is character and this is character still down. Okay. Okay, so if it's character still down and we're going to call it node connect highlight. In this case, we need all the same code, so I'll just keep the same original function. The only difference is instead of it actually producing the connection in the end, it's just highlighting the line. Oh, which means the line I have to have that draw command come out. Oh, in the previous video, I had also done this stuff where I was drawing, and I'll just go back to that for a second. The traffic system, traffic connector, I was drawing the line. This was a map. It was a map view. I was trying to figure out how to get it to draw, like draw a circle with a line in one of the assets from the Unity asset store. And it was only working with gizmos. So I changed that by putting draw dot instead of draw dot circle, it was draw dot in game dot circle, and then that gets rid of the need for it. Keep wanting to say vectors, but gizmos, which also means that now it runs at runtime. And I can put in the exact same lines. I'm going to be switching all of my stuff over to be using A-line for this because it can operate for, I can put it into the game design time if I want to, which means the baked code in this code could be stored at runtime. I could make alterations and edits. That's a consideration for the future. Not what I'm doing right now, though. Back into Traffic Designer. So in the Designer tool, we will need the connect highlight. That'll be putting the line in. Next, V is where we're selecting. That will happen immediately just by holding the V down. I'm going to do this as character still down. So if it's being held down, you can keep selecting just by holding down V. Okay, next we have current character for remove node. For remove node, we want two different operations, remove node and remove connection. We need to see the highlight of what it's going to remove, or at least the item it's going to highlight. In that case, I'm going to duplicate these both, Control CVV. And let's drag this one up there. In either case, we want to know the node that it's going to be removing. So we're going to say on care up, once the character goes up, we will remove the node. Same thing over here. Once the character goes up, we will remove the connection. Now for this one, we want to know if the character is still down, and that one is highlight node. Okay, so that is node highlight. And let's do the same thing down here, node highlight. I just need to add the code for the node highlight at this point. Character still down. Okay, so first off, we need node highlight. Let's go to this one, Control C, and then take this function, F12. Take me there, thank you. Just gonna put a little line in there, and now let's take this whole thing, Control C, and go to here, V. Good. Control C, take this and this one, connect, highlight. I only need to see the end. I don't need to see it. All of these highlights could just operate off the exact same piece of code. I'm going to change that. Okay, let's get rid of this. And okay, those were the functions that were operating off the traffic designer. Yeah, I need to split out the traffic system, or the traffic designer editor and the actual class for it. They are getting large enough that's a reasonable split. They're separate files. All right. Now inside of this, designer, target. This is just highlights. Okay, highlight, highlight, highlight. Cool. That's then in that case, I just need the node position. All right, node select. Let's go to that one. F12. Highlighting should always be placing an existing node. Let's do that. Also, when I add a node, I guess we're doing some design cleanup in general. Scroll back. When I add a node, I should be setting my highlight to the current one that's in there. I don't need to auto connect it to the one that was currently selected. That might be reasonable to do though. No, I've got a separate issue to fix. I don't want to do that one. But when I add it, if it's still down, it should move it, but then that means I need to select the current one. Okay, so when I select node down, this one should select the current node. So let's do that, F12. Inside of here, we're setting the settings. We added a new node, and now we need the index of it. So we're going to say settings.traffic data dot. Oh, that one doesn't go to there. This one just goes to debugging. Debugging dot selected node index equals, and in this one we're going to say settings dot traffic data dot nodes dot count -1. So we are resetting the high when we add a new point that becomes our selected node. Now that also, by doing that one, it also means that where are those commands? Here. Oh, that's a bad one. Highlight. That means that if Z is still held down, Control C, except I don't want that one to happen on follow-ups. All right, well, we'll just put this one in here. There. So if Z is still down, if the character is still down and I'm gonna store one more byte here. Let's just go back up here and we'll store one more byte value. What are those bytes? Oh, it's not outside of the function. I'm looking outside the function to find the bytes. Okay, character up, character still down. I don't want to put another variable here. All right, I could clean that up. I'm going to do it later though. What I was going to say is that as long as I'm adding a node, if I'm still holding the character down, it should move. But forget about that one for now. The other one, the only thing I need to do is put in a node highlight so I can highlight what node is in the scene. And let's go do this. Node connect, node C, node move. Select is probably the best case because that is basically the exact same code as what I'm trying to do. So node select, control F12, not control, just F12. Okay, so in this one we get the closest index. We've already got the function for it. And now I don't want to select it. I want to mark that I am on this one. So I need to do that somehow. And I could do that by changing its color or adding some extra symbol to it. Ideally, it shouldn't just be color changes to make it more like generally available for anyone to use, including people who have various forms of color blindness. So using some other shape characteristic to identify that this one is selected is better, or that I'm highlighting the connection to that one. I'll add more symbols later, but for now I'll just use a different one for now for this. This function node select, we're going to create CVV. And now this new one is node highlight. Highlight the current node without selecting it. Okay, so we get the node. We're going to find out if it's selected. No. In this case, we don't care to notify of any errors. We're just going to return. We aren't going to change the selected index. In this case, we want to highlight it. So what do we do for the highlighting? That's happening in the update function. In this case, I feel like I should just set a highlight value. Okay, so what is that? That's being stored in the debugging fields. Where's the debugging data? Selected index. Let's go to public int highlight index. I'll do this way. Highlight index. That also means that by doing this, I need to go back and have it remove anything from highlight. This also means that during the start, I need to clear up some data, which I don't have a start function in here. Okay. Or I guess awake is what I need to do to clear this up. So double check, is that up above? No, good. All right, down here. Private void awake. Highlight index. Oh, that's in debugging. Yes, debugging. Debugging.highlight index equals -1. Cool. Oh, and since the tool, if it's not in use, it doesn't need an early exit. It just needs to set that value no matter what it is. Okay, so highlight index becomes highlight. And if that's the case, I don't need a value to store it temporarily. Control X, we're just going to place it here. Get rid of that stuff. I think the guy might be taking care of the lawn today. I'm going to go check. No, they're mowing across the street. Okay, let's close the garage door. I imagine the audio filters are getting rid of most of the background noise, so probably can't hear the garage door or the lawnmower. Maybe. All right, so next, what have we got? Resharper. We set the highlight index. Now, there is something else inside of here where we need to be careful. The highlight index goes to this. We also need to make sure that when we release something, that also releases the highlight index as well. So node select, once we've selected something, highlight index equals -1. All right, so now we've got the highlight index set to -1. What else needs to be set to -1? That one happened on select. It was never needed. Control X. Let's go over into our editor code for this. Basically anything in here where we call a highlight as one of the options, like right here, that's for still down, but on up, we need to reset that. So F12. Let's go to this, expand out that, and we get the index. We're checking what the index is to connect. Well, either case, once we call node connect, we get rid of the highlight. Perfect. Now let's go back. Oh, that enters 4. Is there no back button? Yay. Okay, perfect. Now, character highlight happens here as well. So that is for B. So node remove, F12. Getting rid of the highlight. Now let's move back. Is there a hotkey for this? Control minus. Okay. The last one is, here's highlight. That was on this one. Highlight. Oh, this one. Here we go. Node remove connection, F12. First thing on it. We keep adding that extra enter. Okay, if everything worked, I should have all the data. Oh, anytime I make a change to state, I need to alter. I need to tell it to save the changes. Okay, so let's see about saving the changes. Inside of here, I have continues, I have returns. The returns don't do anything. That doesn't do anything. It's only once it gets down to here that it actually starts to manipulate the data. So after it's removed stuff, we're going to mark this for asset utility. What was the undo? I forgot it. Let's go to here. And inside of this Unity C# changed, let's see, scriptable data. How do I mark it? Save its undo state? It's not persisting. That's not what undo record object. Thank you. Undo.record object. Okay, and that is this. Bingo. Okay, what else does it need? Oh, okay, it wants a name. Removed connection. Control C. Was this the last one? Yes. Scrolling up, what's the next one? This one is remove node. Yeah, we certainly want to react to that. Do we have an early exit from here? No, only if we're not going to be doing anything. So that means I can put it here, and this is removed node. Now, last, or not the last part, get the index closest to mouse. No. Node select doesn't affect the data, just what's selected. Mapping exists. Nope. Utility. Node connect. This changes data. So do we have an early exit? Not if it changes data. Doesn't need to be announced because we already have the connection. This one changed the data. So at this point, we have changed the data, and this is node connect. Okay, node move. We are changing the position of a node. This one, I don't tap the key on it. I let it move continuously. And so that does have a bit of a pain, but whatever. I will put in a long undo history. However, if I change that to tap, it'll work better for undo. Okay, I'll change that to tap. So let's put an undo history on this one, undo move, Control V, and we're going to call it node move. Node add, yeah, definitely. node add. Now let's go back down to the bottom. And over here, when we do node add, node move is what I want. That's character still down. I want to change it to just character up. All right. Let's put a note in there because that's kind of an oddity. Reacts to care up, not care still down, to not trigger a lot of undo steps. If you want to do, correct this to still down, but set up the undo state, handle connecting these. Excellent. Okay. So I've got it's a larger thing to fix this to make it a better case, and I'm not willing to deal with the extra work for that right now. It basically requires including storing the timestamp of when I last made that call, and I could certainly do this, but I'd then have to compare the times and see how long has it been since the last time, and every time that it's not, I have to undo that. I have to remove that step of the undo history of the previous one if the previous one was within a certain time frame. And I don't even know if that's possible. I assume it is. You know what? Let's just do a little line right here. Undo dot and okay, tangent. Let's go look at the tangent for a second on here. It's right here. Move, connect, node move F12. So node move F12, we got that's a record object. Undo dot undo redo event, record object, clear undo. That removes all things. Get current group name, increment current group. Okay, so it has perform. Okay, there has to be an option to whatever. It's gonna. There was no quick and obvious thing, so I'm getting rid of this. That'll be something to look into later, but I assume that there's a way that I can look up what the previous undo was to see, is it mine? Is it a node move that just happened? And if it is a node move, when did it happen? And if it doesn't store the when, I should be able to store the when in addition to that. But I would need to check to see if the last thing that was added to it was an undo move. And if I have a recently stored value for it, a timestamp for the last time I did it, and it was within a certain frame, then I can get rid of the previous event and add mine and update that timestamp. All right, save it. The design tool should be done now, or it's got errors in it and I'll have to go fix stuff. But let's see what happens. No complaints so far. All right. So now to see if something's going to connect, that means I just hold down the C button. I never put highlight code in. I need to actually highlight. Also, I feel like if I'm holding down those keys and I decide not to, I need a way out of it. Well, undo at that point. Undo. So I've decided that I can't, there's nothing to connect it to, but I've already hit the connect button and I'm holding it down. Or I've moved an object, but whatever the case, undo. I could get an escape response in there as well, but eh. Okay, so design traffic inside of this one. What happened there? Okay, perfect, much better. All right, so what was the last thing? I just need the visuals to show up. So right now, where do I get the visuals? That's in update. Draw update. Okay, so inside of here, we are drawing the gizmos, but I don't care. It's not gizmos that I need. Well, whatever. I'll fix that later. What I need right now is gizmos, not gizmos. I need to highlight if, what is it? Traffic debugging dot traffic dot highlight index does not equal -1. Okay, so if debugging highlight index does not equal -1, then what? Then we need to draw, and that's going to be from A line, which is draw, not that one. Alt enter. Drawing. Okay, yeah, A line uses the namespace drawing. I wish that they put A line in front of their namespace so that I would actually know that it was from A line. Dot drawing. So draw dot in-game. This is a designer tool. This does not need to be in-game. Draw dot circle. Let's do something else. I don't want to do a line. How about, is there a box? Square. Okay. Solid. Do we have a solid circle? Solid circle. Draw a solid circle. And now what do I do for the rest of them? Draw a solid circle. It needs the center, it needs the normal, and it needs the radius. Okay. Traffic system on GUI. Do I handle any of the drawing stuff up here? That's the baking progress on GUI. No, none of the drawing is happening here. Where do I actually use the draw commands? The draw commands were happening in map view. That's where I was using this. Okay, so let's grab these. Control C and go over to this one. I don't need it to be in game. I just need it to draw a circle. It wants a float 3, right? Now in this one, I need the data to start showing up in here. Float 3, is that just because it doesn't have it? Alt enter. Okay. The normal is the camera normal. How was I determining the camera normal? Designer was again in map view. Camera normal. That's up here. We get the main camera out forward. But this is going to be an editor camera, so mm, in this case, this is The normal should be pointed towards the camera. Yeah, sure. And radius is going to be, let's just put in a value right now of 2. Sure. Oh, half the offset size. Half the, so that's in debug. Debugging dot, and that's not in debugging. That's in traffic data dot. Where are we? We're in the designer. Settings dot traffic data dot distance from surface divided by 2. So this will put a little highlight dot in the center of the circle that we're trying to connect it to. Okay, I don't need that one, and I don't need that one. Okay, the center is supposed to be the point that was highlighted. Highlight index, which is going to be, let's get that one. That one is inside of settings.trafficdata.nodes, and the index is going to be debugging.highlighted index dot, and now I need the position. Theoretically, this will work. Let's find out. I don't think camera will work. Will work between editor and scene view. Because technically, I don't know if this works in the editor. It's an interesting thought. There. Okay, so now to do this, let's take C. Control Shift B, and now over here, C. Oh, you can see it highlighted that one. But now my mouse is over this and it's not currently highlighting this one, so I've got this one selected right now. Let's go to this one and select V. Okay, now X to move it. Got it. Draw function is unhappy with that one. I'm basically doing a gizmo. No, stop it. Where is that actually happening? A-line command builder. No. I need it in my own code. Traffic designer. This line right there. Traffic designer line 350. So in this one, I'm trying to draw a circle. Where is this happening? This is happening inside of draw gizmos selected. Let's change this over to A-line. A-line's going to be faster anyway. So this one's going to update. We don't have an update in here, so we're going to put one in. Update. Yay. Now the gizmos are going to be unhappy trying to draw gizmos during it, I think. Let's just run a quick check from that. See what Unity thinks. It's probably going to go grumble in lots of complaints. All right, so now I've got this, Control Shift B. Yeah, very unhappy. Gizmos can only function during the gizmos events. So inside of here, we got it on the update. Now we're going to be doing draw line. So let's, instead of using gizmos, we're going to switch this over to A-line. So now this is draw dot line. Is that what I want? Draw dot circle. Okay, in this case, I should get the cam normal for all of the use cases, Control X. So I'm just going to put a cam normal before any of these. So now we have the draw circle and we have cam normal. We need to know, where are we going to draw this? So we're going to draw a wire sphere, which is going to be here. Control X, Control V. And what was that one called? Okay, in Visual Studio, you hit comma and that will bring up the IntelliSense. I hit comma and then backspace, and that'll just bring up the IntelliSense, or the, not IntelliSense, it brings up the extra field information. And that works inside of here too, unless I was on a second line and hit backspace before it had a chance to come up. Visual Studio, it still comes up anyway. All right, so we have the center, then we're going to need the normal. So center. Now we need the normal. Cam normal. And the last one it needs is the radius. And that one is going to be debugging. No. That's still traffic data. So settings dot traffic data dot distance from surface. Distance from surface doubles as the radius because they serve the same purpose. The actual point is directly on the where we're clicking and placing this is based on where the mouse interacts with the surface, but the car doesn't interact with the surface. The car is off of the surface. And so we set it at about the hover height, and then we set the radius to be anything from that center point to all the way around it. That means that we move that point up away from the surface and then have it wide enough that it can touch the surface again. That gives the plenty of space for the car to interact with the same traffic point. Okay, draw a circle. That one is there. So we did have something happening here to decide whether or not we were going to change the color. So let's create a color. In this one, we're just going to say, I need a variable, a color variable. So color, col equals lowercase color equals, and let's go with color dot chartreuse. Sure. So now inside of this one, I'm going to say if that stuff, then color equals. Okay, now circle should also have a color field in it as well. Color. Bingo. And we'll pass in the color. So now circle is in there. The other thing happening above that is we got the else statement associated with this. There. Now that should be everything for the circle. What's its complaint at this? Expensive invocation method. This method cannot be used inside burst. Okay. All right. So that should reset all the things we needed there. Now we're going to put this down here. Oh, this one needs to be color as well. Color. So now we're going to say color equals this one. And now let's put in, what is this one? This needs a line. We're drawing the map line. So now it's draw dot line, and we need vector A, vector B, and color. So A, comma, B, comma, color, color. Now for the 2 points that we have in here, we need to put in all of this data. Control X, there. And B is going to be Control X. Get rid of this. Delete. Okay, so we got the line going in. This is using gizmos, and the last thing that we have down here, oh, that circle. We already took care of the bottom one first. So there should be no more gizmo drawing. Get rid of that. I don't need it. Cool. Let's see how Unity reacts. It should go back to drawing now. Okay, we're drawing circles. This is, it's using the main camera, which I thought would have been the current camera. That doesn't give me editor. Whatever. I will improve that later. For right now, this gives me effectively what I needed. I could add 3 circles. Where I just take 3 separate normals and draw for each normal, the up, down, left, right, or up, down, or up, left, forward, something like that. Okay, so for now, this sort of works. Draw.sphere. Sphere outline. Perfect. Okay. And does this use the exact same information? Almost. It has the center. Okay, yeah. The only thing it doesn't have is the normal. Perfect. I'm switching to that. And in that case, we no longer need cam normal. Yay. Okay. Sphere, and in this case, it's the same information going over Control X, and that goes to this. Enter. Get rid of this line. Done. Okay. Now we're going to take this, Control X, C, not a line, but we will draw it over a circle. That goes to there, and we get rid of cam normal. Highlight needs to be a different color, so we're going to put in a new color, comma, color, colon, color dot, dark magenta. Sure. Now that's sphere solid. It doesn't have, or sphere outline. There is no sphere solid, I'm taking it. Because that basically, I think they're qualifying it as the same as circle solid, but circle solid doesn't, or circle solid needs the normal for the camera. So still not quite the same. Back into Unity. Ooh, okay. So a sphere in this one is literally a circle that is facing me. It already has the normal taken into account. That works. Cool. I accept. Let's increase the thickness though. So if I go down to, what is it? Project settings, A line is in here. Line opacity. Now let's go to solids opacity. Hey, wasn't there like a resolution? Okay, yeah, I don't need the numbers so high. There. I do wish that it had a design editor thickness, because that doesn't show up as well. Works well enough for now, though. Okay, so now that I've got this, I want to connect this. So I'm going to hold down C. Hey, that put a little red line there. Okay, it did update to this one, I think. It's purple up there, though. And I move it back to here. Gets updated to there. It takes a moment. It doesn't update instantly. And I let it go, the connection should happen. No connection happened, though. That's interesting. So it left the highlight state there. but that tells me that something is wrong in my setup where I'm getting the character down and character up. All right, so what I'm trying to find is the character up should be the last character. If the current character is null, that means that I released the code. So current character byte equals 0, then I've released the value. This is in the editor code, so I'm going to put this in debug. Let's put this information into debug and then I can observe it. So I want the character key codes. In fact, the whole thing, I'll just put all of those ones in there. So we are in the editor right now, and inside of here, it is using a few pieces of information. These ones, current character, last character, and lcase. Control C, and we're going to go to this one. Okay, so those ones are there. We're just going to set these all, get rid of them. So the lines, the values are still there. And now I want to move all of this stuff. Control X and let it do its complaining. We're going to move up to the debug fields. Public, public, public. Get rid of the extra line or the extra values because it cannot initialize them like this here. Okay. Public byte there. Public byte. Now that I've got those ones, let's head back to the bottom of the code. And when I use it, which is over here, we got last character, we got these ones. We're not going to initialize. Instead, we're going to say designer.debugging.currentChar. Perfect. Let's reset these values in here. Now, I could just put a breakpoint on here, but well, breakpoint's just flat out not going to work. I need to be able to see how this data changes over time as I'm interacting with the environment. If I'm having it react to the change of a value, the problem is that it's not changing value when I'm expecting it to. And so it's going to have to freeze the entire environment, come back here for what is a UX interaction of me clicking on something or unclicking and unselecting. And so in this case, I prefer to have this information exposed out here so I can debug in real time. Okay, I should produce functions for these. Character up, character down. It's not like those things exist somewhere else. I probably should consider doing that before building this thing up any higher. Okay, everything is saved back into here. Good, we've got our characters showing up. We know what the last character is. So now if I press V, wait, V, what does V do? V selects the node. V. Why is that still drawing? Because the update keeps happening every single frame. I only want it to happen when it's selected. So there's a change I need to do. Control Shift B. All right, now V there. So V works. Okay, there's the character. So right now, when I'm holding this down, I have last character. Oh, character up is going to get reset by the time it comes back to the next frame. I wouldn't be able to observe it inside of here anyway. I'm going to add one more variable inside of there so that I can debug this. If, let's do this. If last, I probably have the statement in here. No, back. So if the current character is 0 and the last character was not, then I put this in there. I should set another value for this one too. I'm going to say designer dot debugging dot character was up equals designer dot debugging dot last char. The point of this one is that this is going to be the only one that alters this particular field. So let's go to here and just say F12. Okay, control dot and create field. Yes. Byte. Character was up. It didn't do it as a property. Thank you. Does it think nothing uses this? Oh, it highlights it once something uses it. Okay, but this is only for field debugging. Character was up. So now let's go to here and press V. Oh, Control Shift B. Now V. V. Okay, should show that V. That was 118. Okay. And then let's try on this one. This one is remove connection. Wait, remove connection was B. Okay. This also highlighted it because the last selection in here was highlight. So it does indicate that the character was up. Now I want to, let's try removing this node. N. It moved the highlight over to here after a moment. The update is so much slower. I need that update to be happening on the gizmo changes as well. I could trigger the update change because trigger the update on gizmo. If I get a double update from this designer tool, big deal. That should be fine. No, not when the key press happens. Okay, this is just flat out a slower operation at the moment. Can I change this to happen during the gizmo calls? I was moving over to A line and that was it was because that was happening during gizmos. Can A line be called during gizmos? Because gizmos has more updates. Okay, I'm gonna let this go. Okay, it captured that the change happened, but nothing responded to it. So character was up 110. Let's double check that. So if I say V, what just happened? Control Shift B. And now let's go V to select. That's selected, yes. So that's 118. And now N to remove node, right? No, that removes connection. Well, that's 110. B is to remove the node. Did not remove the node, did react to it. So that was 98. It did realize that the character was up. That does mean that when it comes through here, the character was up. So we set character was up to this value, to what that character code was. Now, was there anything else that changed this? We set last care. Here we set the last care. We reset the characters because we don't need them anymore, as it were. So now inside of this one, if the care up, if it was N, if it was B, it should have removed the node. This is indicating that remove node was never called. Let's do this. Debug.log log warning node remove. Okay, return to Unity. All right, let's see if we actually get a line out for this one. Control Shift B, we select it. So we've got that in there. And now I hit B. It never executes. B on character up never happens. So let me double check here. Over on this one. Control Shift V. And now on this one, let's do V. And if I hold down V, you can see all the characters have updated on this side over here. So we see like last character, 118, current character, care down, and care up. Those are the ones that I'm looking at right now. Character was still down, and character was up before 118 because it never switches to 0. Okay. Now let's switch this one over, and I'm going to press B. Okay, and I can see all the values switch to 98. It kind of feels like character up never gets set. I'm going to do something expensive. Debug.log. And in this case, let's put in the character. And that one is going to be designer.character up. Designer.debugging.care up. So that's a byte, and we're gonna, is it? Yeah, it's a byte. And we're gonna print it as the character again. So we should see the letter B in that case. But what I think is gonna happen is we're gonna get a whole bunch of empty ones where it's just printing a null character, so we don't see anything at all. Save that and return over to Unity. Okay, we got this stuff, Control Shift B. Now let's press a whole bunch of nulls. And so I did press the B and I released it. That does indicate that something clears the character up state. Let's take a look at what is doing that. Where do we go? So character up is always null. Where else do I set character up? So here's character up. I've got it highlighted. That means it'll highlight anywhere where I'm using it in the scene. So in this one, we set the value to zero. And then over here, if the current character is 0 and the last character was 0, was not, then the character up gets set to what the last character was. That happens at the exact same time as we set was char up. So that means if was char up, this one should have been set. Am I doing something wrong with my else if statements? I don't know. Let's move that. At this point, once something goes wrong like this, I have to start questioning everything of my understanding. Okay, so we set character up. Now in this one, we do have another thing that sets it. So if the last character does not equal the current character, then that goes off. However, so in this statement, we get the if. We're checking this one. If the current state is 0, but it previously was not, then we set the character up. And so we should have the character up. Now, where do we do this? At the designer debug. What's running this one? On-scene GUI. Okay. So on-scene GUI executes this. On-scene GUI is also executing all of these. We're never going to print a character showing up in here. Why? Let's also print this one while we're at this. So let's duplicate this, Control C, V. And here I'm going to print last character. And let's put this in as Elsie. And CU. Okay, last character and character up. Okay, select the building, Control Shift B, and now let's tap V. Okay. Last character, we got a V, but the character up never triggered. Wait a minute. So C to connect the node, but it's not going to do anything. Current character. So let's do this. CU. Let's do a collapse. Yeah, last character gets a C. CU never gets anything. So let's put in CU colon here, because that should get any of the characters. technically it should still be getting all of these ones too. So V. Now, if I turn off this one, we do see only C showing up in there. Wait. Okay. Control Shift B. We got the object selected. B. B is showing up, but no CU for it. No CUB. It's only LCB. N. Same thing. Okay. I'm gonna go take a break for a bit. I'll be back online later.